In light of the Prince Andrew controversy, should we re-evaluate the role of the royal family?
Well, I don't think it needs any explaining from me what's been happening. You'd have to have been asleep for the last few days to have missed this story. Chuka?
I don't think we have to re-evaluate the role of the royal family as a whole, but I think the way that he has behaved has been utterly disgraceful. The fact that he seemed completely incapable of recognising the situation of the victims and survivors of the dreadful activities of the billionaire concerned, the fact that he didn't seem willing to make himself available to go and help with the cases in the US that have been brought, the civil actions, and I don't know if there are still prosecutions ongoing. The fact that he went to go and stay with this gentleman after he had been convicted of paedophilia, it's just unfathomable to me. And look, I don't think, I'm not a fan of the hereditary principle, but I don't think our country wants another elected politician being its head of state. But my gosh, he has let the royal family down, and he's let the Queen down, and he's let the institution down. And in the midst of all this political chaos, people do kind of, I think, look to the royal family to give some degree of stability, a bit of an anchor. And I think he's totally undermined it. And that's why he's done the right thing in stepping back from public life. If he was a politician, he would have had to resign ages ago. What's your view on this, Eleanor, since you asked the question?
I think that I agree it's not necessarily about the entire royal family. I think maybe the lesser royals, I think it's kind of reevaluating their role and their purpose. I see the benefits of the royal family and the money that they bring into the economy, but I think that, as you said, if it was a politician, he'd be long gone. And I think that he needs to take proper responsibility for what he's done.
So, Philippa, do you think this has thrown a light on whether... I mean, there was talk at one point about Prince Charles slimming down the monarchy. Do you think this tells us anything about where we should go forward with the monarchy?
Well, I mean, I think with regards to Prince Andrew, there's nobody above the law, and I'm not convinced that just going, oh, I'll step back is enough. I think he should be involved. I think he should be giving evidence and not able to just squirrel off and hide from it. But I do think, I mean, people have a huge affection and admiration for the Queen. People understand what she went through when her uncle abdicated and, you know, why she will never abdicate. But there are, you know, cascades of royals where people feel, well, you know, just exactly what do they contribute in comparison to their own swanning around.
So who are you thinking of in particular?
Well, I think people like Andrew, that, you know, all the kind of echelons of royals, where obviously the direct lines. Yeah, you know, I mean, you know, look at your own family tree, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And obviously all of our taxes pay for that. Whereas it's actually the Queen herself, it's the core of the family that visitors come to see, the whole changing of the guard, the pomp and circumstance. They're not particularly even aware of, you know, a cousin 2 times removed, but, you know, they're all clinging on to that. And I think that there definitely is a case to be slimming down the royal family.
OK. There's a man at the back with his... Oh, in the middle there, yes, with your hand up.
Yeah, I think it's an absolute trial by media, what's happening with Prince Andrew. I think it should be left to the relevant law authorities to be able to take a decision on that. And I think this happens very much, say, with a lot of the royal family, that they just get put through the trial on media and everybody has an opinion on it. I don't think it's generally fair.
So you think he's been treated unfairly?
I think it's terrible what's happened to the victims, and of course I do feel for them, but I think that the way that it's been portrayed by the media, and it's been an inquest by the media, is totally unfair.
OK.
Give evidence.
There's 2 women in the front here with their hands up. Let's get the microphones to you. Yes, the woman in the purple, and then we'll come to you next.
Prince Andrew isn't a minor royal. He's the Queen's second son, and at one time was actually second in line to the throne. I think his interview, I didn't see the whole of it, but he spoke of a straightforward shooting weekend. Now, I don't know how many people here have ever been to a straightforward or less than straightforward shooting weekend, but I think it was an indication of the separation of the royal family from the rest of society. And I think he was badly advised to do the interview in the first place. I think it was believed by himself, presumably, and the rest of the household, that it would clear the air. And of course, if you're in a hole, you stop digging.
Stop digging.
Yeah.
The woman next to you, yes.
Well, my personal opinion on this is the fact that he lied to cover up what he'd done. And not only, the most disappointing thing is he
Hang
lied
on,
to...
you're saying Prince Andrew lied?
No, he lied. We've proven that he lied about being a Pete Sutton walking. There's proof that he didn't...
That hasn't been proven, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know, but it's disappointing that not only he lied to the Queen, but his Queen is his mother, and that is more respiratory.
Hang on. There's no proof that he's lied about anything at this stage. So let's be careful what we say. He's having a bad enough time as it is. No, but let's not add allegations that actually we can't justify. You talk about straightforward shooting party. You used to be a corporate lawyer. You've probably been to one of those, have you?
I wasn't invited on one of those, unfortunately. Look, rather like the lady who asked the question, on balance, for all its flaws, I think that the monarchy is a good thing for this country. I support it. I think the Queen is someone who we're incredibly lucky to have as our head of state. I have personally huge amounts of respect and admiration for her. And I feel actually very sorry for her that, you know, in her older age, she's having to see something like this happen. Prince Andrew, well, it seems like he's made the right decision, doesn't it, to
Do you think he should
back.
he should actually just retire now?
Well, I think that's what he's agreed to do, hasn't he?
He's agreed to step back. We don't know for how long.
I mean, I don't, like you, I don't know the full facts of this. I do know that, from what I've heard, Jeffrey Epstein was a thoroughly unpleasant man who perpetrated despicable crimes on women and children. And it does make me think that, rather like with the Harvey Weinstein case, there are some people, whether for their supposed glamour or celebrity or wealth, some people are willing to turn a blind eye to that and even facilitate the actions that they're doing. And I think if I had, either through stupidity or naivety or temporary moral failure, associated myself with someone like Jeffrey Epstein, I would feel thoroughly ashamed of myself and want to apologise to the victims. And I think that's probably where Prince Andrew and others who were friends of Jeffrey Epstein are right now, or should be.
Sherelle, so we know that Prince Andrew is stepping back from public duty for the time being. He's still on the civil list as far as we know. Do you think he should be taken off it?
Yes, I think that he should be stripped of his taxpayer funding as well, because the public doesn't want to fund a friend of a paedophile. And I think I watched that interview. I thought it wasn't so much a car crash as a train wreck crashing into a nuclear power plant. I thought it was absolutely ghastly to watch that interview. Just the Bill Clinton-esque legalese that he could not recall meeting this woman, and this sort of blue-blooded insouciance that he had let the side down as if he had underperformed at his polo match. It was just a complete disconnect with the seriousness of the situation and how he would come across. And I think that the crisis around Prince Andrew, it hits on a larger problem which we have with the next generation of royals, because I think that the monarchy is having an existential crisis at the moment with the Queen at 92. And, the monarchy is supposed to represent the best aspects of our nation, sort of the best characteristics. So honesty, morality, hard work, principles. But it's starting to be more closely associated with deceit and immorality and idleness and hypocrisy.
What, are you saying that the monarchy as a whole?
No, I'm saying with the next generation, with Prince Andrew, I think that it damages,
damages the brand.
The brand of the royal family rather than the royal family as a whole. But I think that there is a problem when the monarchy gets wrapped up in sort of the glamour of the global elite, because there is a dark side to all that lifestyle. There's the murky immorality, and there's also the condescending hypocrisy as well. It's completely the other end of the scale. But when you have, younger minor royals who are taking private jets to places, but also lecturing people on climate change, it rubs people off the wrong way. I think that you need a slimmed down monarchy. I mean, you need focus. And you need the monarchy to be a national symbol of all that's great about Britain, and not the opposite.
Richard?
When I watched extracts from the interview with Prince Andrew, when I consider this matter, the first thing that comes to my mind, actually, isn't about the institution of the monarchy, its pros and its cons. The first thing that comes to my mind was the complete lack of empathy shown in that interview for the victims and survivors of rape and sexual abuse in the Epstein house. And it makes me think of other power structures in our society. It makes me think of the sexism that's pervasive in our society, seeing women as objects, seeing women as not people, but something to have something done to, and the instances of super rich, super powerful people with no empathy, treating people as if they're commodities, not other human beings. As to whether Prince Andrew has further questions to answer, he should, of course, cooperate fully with any criminal investigation. I can't predetermine that. I'm particularly mindful of that as Shadow Secretary of State for Justice. But I think we need a complete look at how the criminal justice system handles the matter of rape. Rape convictions in our country are a historic low, and that's why I announced that we would, if we were in government, have an independent review into how the criminal justice system handles rape. I think the whole of society needs to look at itself. But the thing that brings us all together, and the only thing that can help make our society better, combat sexism, combat racism, combat the fact that people live on the streets, is actually empathy for each other. Okay. Thinking about stepping into other people's shoes. And I have to say, hand on heart, when I saw extracts from that interview, that I think there seemed to be a complete absence of thinking, what was that life like? What was that experience like for those women who were victims?